Welcome one and all to the K.O.E. Nation for a very special Spirits Review. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil K.O.E., joined by my elated and excited broadcast partner, the one, the only,
Tony G, the Blend Master, the excited, the thirsty, Tony Two Belts. I'm the best. We're doing Irish whiskey, folks! Irish whiskey! Woo!
Now, Tony, is it fair to say that you're a bit of a fan of the Middleton Distillery? Fair to say?
That's an understatement.
Okay. Now, for folks who don't know, this is what I got Tony for Christmas this year.
Yep.
I was able to find and locate Irish whiskey of the Powers Persuasion.
Yes.
Gold label. And this also happens to, what do you know, Middleton Distillery. Huh.
This is also...
Unfortunately, gotta take a blade.
Oh. This is also the old labeling. This is not what it looks like currently. If you find it looking like this with the actual gold label, snatch that up. But it now has a white and red label. Much more... Actually, let's just go ahead and show you quickly.
Lovely.
The tiny logo on the bottle there, that little red triangle diamond shape, that's what you'll see on the logo now.
Yeah, it's just a gigantic one of those now.
This is the old labeling. This is much more presentable. This is much more familiar as an Irish whiskey. So obviously that means it's going to taste that much better.
Well, this is also a lot closer to the European style bottling. So,
and not only that, but it's mid-February when we're recording this.
So
I have not opened this since December.
Well done. I will let you pop the cork.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
He's been waiting for this, folks. Nice.
Oh, yes. Do we have enough?
Plenty.
Are you sure? Because there's a whole bottle here. I have never had Powers. And my whiskey love will forever always be the Irish variety. So, this one I am insanely excited for. I've heard a lot of good things about the gold label. I've heard a lot of good things about the, the Three Swallows, as well as the...
They got a 12-year Powers 12.
There's a Three Swallows, and then there's another one, a variant with a specific name attached to it that people scream about now, but this is the gold label offering.
Now, here's what the back of this little tag says. Perfected in 1791, we've held true to our unique way of taking only the finest cut of the distillate, the heart, because the finer the cut, the bolder the flavor. So that's, Irish whiskey's got its own techniques to it, but this one's typically triple distilled. That's kind of the mark of Irish whiskey. Scotch is usually double distilled, but this one I've been looking forward to as well, because when I saw it, I was like, okay, it's Middleton Distillery. Tony's gonna want to give it a little taste.
That's marvelous on the palate.
On the nose, I'm getting like...
the nose.
He's a little excited.
No,
this is going to sound weird.
I'm jumping the gun because this is honestly going through my nose and it's tingling my tongue.
Vanilla ice cream is the first thing I smell. I know that sounds like a very strange...
I was thinking vanilla, but also, strangely enough, do you remember when we were reviewing... Oh, goodness, what were we doing? It was a...
Honey.
I can't remember what spirit it was, but it was... You were getting a little bit of a clay note.
I think it was Jim Beam.
Maybe it was.
Yeah, well that just smelled like just clay.
Right, that was overly clay. But I'm getting that note, but yes, vanilla specifically.
Now that you mention it, there is, I would say, more of an earthiness to it. Like, again, the fact that I'm a farmer reveals itself.
Yeah.
This smells more than clay. Have you ever had a handful of Crete silt loam?
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry, our backgrounds reveal themselves. But
if you get deep down into this, you get a really strong whiff. This does, for me anyways, it's going past the nose and it's tingling the back of my tongue.
And it's reminding me of food items more than anything.
But
like you said, like there's that earthiness. But my first thing was like, it's reminding me of like vanilla ice cream, like when you've just opened up a box.
Like French vanilla.
Yeah. So,
but at the same time, it also smells very light, and this is 86.4 proof, only 43.2% ABV, so it's not insanely. No, it's not overproof.
Well, I'm really curious to see how Powers goes down. T, I know you've always been a big fan of the Irish whiskey, and it's been long past due. So, folks.
A lot of honey note.
A lot.
Roasted honey.
I'm getting roasted vanilla on the back now.
Oh my god, yes. Wow, that vanilla does shine through on the end. Wow, that's really smooth.
I almost wonder if this was like at some point aged in like a bourbon barrel or something, but
yeah. Wow.
Okay, now here's what the nose is: cinnamon, clove, olive, white pepper in balance with apples and ripe pears on a background of charred oak. Okay.
Yeah.
Taste: cinnamon, green peppers. Okay. A touch of nutmeg combined with orchard fruit, vanilla, and toasted oak.
That makes sense.
All laid upon a crisp barley core. Finish: long pot still oils and spices slowly fade to rich barley and toasted wood. I suspect the green peppers they're thinking of are wildly different from anything we taste around here.
Yeah, I'm not getting any influence on the green pepper.
We're
just vanilla.
We're a day's drive away from Mexico, so we get some pretty legit green peppers up here.
That's fair.
That's
fair. But you're right. Like the vanilla on the nose and the vanilla on the finish kind of does jump over the middle palate experience. But
So Tony, we move on now to a very hard aspect.
I'm sorry, but the middle of it, honestly, is the most appealing aspect of it. Like, I like the vanilla on the front and the finish, but the middle, to me, is the most appealing aspect.
Now, you know how you're saying that when you're smelling it, it was coming into your mouth?
Yes.
I'm having an almost weird opposite effect where when I've got it in my mouth, the aroma's wanting to jump up into my sinuses.
Nope, the last sip I took, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so that's...
But it's not that strong, which is why it's so surprising that effect is having such an impact.
Interesting.
I'm surprised.
But yeah, this is one of the better proof of types for Irish whiskey, which is why, Tony, we're moving on to our grading. There's going to be 4 different scales and the secret 5th question. Now, the scales will be, we will grade it as an Irish whiskey.
Indeed.
As a whiskey.
Yes.
As a cask-aged spirit.
Okay.
And it's shelving.
What?
It's shelving.
I'm just kidding.
All right. I've got a feeling it's not going to be much of a question for you. But, all right. As an Irish whiskey, if you're going to introduce someone to the world of Irish, how would you go?
This is a great introduction because it's very light. Again, 43 ABV. You could introduce somebody to this. They're not going to be offended. It's not going to have that standard nasty burn of a cheap Irish. But my goodness, I think the vanilla notes, especially in the nose, very inviting. I'm going to give this a solid 3.75. I really am.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I am. I think the vanilla overtones set that. I could have gone 3.5, but I think the vanilla notes 3.75.
To me, as an Irish whiskey, I'm going to be much more generous than you. I'm going to give it 4.25.
Really?
As an Irish.
Really?
Okay. Now,
I just know
wait
that
till
there's
I'm
a
done
lot
storing
more.
before you start heaping.
I know there's a lot more to offer from the Powers brand. This is the introductory. At least this was the introductory. I don't know how this stacks up to the new red label, gold label, but this is really nice.
Yeah, so
but
as Irish
also
triple distilled whiskey, and I'm going to keep that in mind as I say it is an excellent Irish triple distilled whiskey. So I'm giving it 4.25.
Okay.
So keep that in mind, folks. Because I'm heaping praise on it up front.
Wow.
It's kind of like if you know somebody from down south where they say, well, bless their heart. And then some other stuff's going to come.
All right.
So as a
on.
whiskey,
As a whiskey, I'm gonna say I'm gonna stick with 3.75. I'm gonna stick with 3.75 because I think, honestly, what is the do you know the cost of the new labeling?
I think it's about $45.
I was gonna say 35, maybe 40.
Yeah, that's
so really
with tax and all, probably 45.
Okay, so you're getting a triple distilled Irish whiskey from the Middleton Distillery. You're getting a very nice whiskey, but for me as a whiskey, this would mix really, really, really nicely with a lot of different things. This has such vanilla overtones and a finish that I think you could mix this with a cola and you would get a really nice mix. And I don't say that lightly because I almost always hate mixing a nice whiskey with a cola, but specifically, I like Coke vanilla, Pepsi vanilla. If I'm going to reach for a pop, that's something I'm going to look for. And I think this would work so well in that fashion.
You know, there are a couple of cocktails I could think of that even incorporate things like Campari and stuff like that would work with this particular whiskey that I wouldn't mix with bourbon. Okay, like a bourbon I would not cocktail that way. But this one, I'm going to agree with you, 3.75.
Okay.
Now we're moving on to cask aged spirit, and if I may, I am going to go ahead and give this 3 stars as a cask aged spirit because all of the craftsmanship here is in the distillation. The cask aging is minimal, but it's a masterful blend. So all of the craftsmanship here is in its masterful distillation and its blending. Because it's an incredibly balanced whiskey. But if you're going strictly, like if you love the Dalmore 18 or something like that, or some 18-year-old or 20-year-old scotch, like this will come across as young.
I'm gonna specifically agree it's a 3-star on a cask age because yes, you're right. There are higher up offerings from Powers. So nope, you're right. I will agree. 3.
Yeah, so there is still some room for some upward improvement from the Powers Distillery, and I got a feeling they'll be able to match that, no problem. But I just was really impressed with this as a proof of type for Irish whiskey.
Sure.
Now,
shall we?
This one might go on the top shelf, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's impressive.
Depends on how crowded my top shelf. It's a little crowded right now, so.
Okay, then I'll bring it back to reality. This is middle shelf. This is a middle shelf, but this will obviously go back on my Irish shelf. Now, what's your secret question?
When this bottle is empty, Tony, if you can find another one for $45 USD, will you replace it?
I think I would, because for one, this is more presentable than the new shorter, not gold label, but I do want to see how they stack up side by side, so I'd probably grab the new bottling first.
This is going to sound kind of like a diss, but it's not. Yes, I would, because this is probably one of the favorite things I've had from the Middleton Distillery.
There you go.
I know that might sound like a diss to some fans of Jameson and such, but
makes sense it makes sense to me.
Like again, I got a sweet tooth when it comes to whiskey. A lot of Jameson has a lot of that earthy, and so I can totally understand that. But Tony, anything you'd like to say to the people?
Nope. I love it.
As I'm known to say around here. All that being said, folks, thank you for joining us. Like, share, subscribe to the K.O.E. Nation. This has been our review of Powers Whiskey.
Yes.